And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
At a campaign rally over the weekend in Butler, Pennsylvania, a 20-year-old man attempted to assassinate Donald Trump, and it was caught on live video. Many people saw it literally being broadcast live. As you can see in the video, of course, he struck Trump in the ear with one of the bullets, allegedly leaving him with non-life-threatening wounds. And during the shooting, not only was the shooter killed, but one of the rally-goers was killed. Apparently, it's a volunteer fire chief who was shielding his family with his body. Two others were critically injured and have undergone operations in the time since. Here is how the attack unfolded.
It was just a few minutes into Donald Trump's speech when a volley of shots rang out. The former president could be seen clutching at the right side of his head. After that, he hits the ground as the Secret Service pile on top of him. Their job to put their bodies between him and the shooter. When you look back closely at those moments, the sheer horror of the events is hard to avoid. First, the rapid gunshots. Then, a bullet captured in midair on its way to its target. The former president going down to the ground, and then, with help from the Secret Service, getting to his feet. It's difficult to hear, but he tells them several times to wait before raising his fist. He can be heard saying the words, "Fight, fight."
So you see there how it shook out. Here is an overhead view of basically where he was speaking, where the shooter apparently stuck up onto a rooftop. And look, there's an extra layer of tragedy. Obviously, any sort of political violence is one of the greatest tragedies that you can have in a democracy, and especially one that takes the life of a rally goer. People who are just participating in our democracy, and one lost their life and others are, potentially very badly wounded for the rest of their life. But there were attendees at the rally who apparently saw the shooter go up onto the roof, had spent some time trying to warn law enforcement. There had been sort of a critical couple of minutes where more potentially could have been done. Here's a little bit of that, speaking with the BMC.
So we walked up, and probably 5 to 7 minutes of Trump speaking. I'm estimating here, I have no idea, but we noticed the guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with a rifle, absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? Like they didn't know what was going on. We're like, hey, right here on the roof, we can see him from right here. We see him, he's crawling. So we were telling the police, we were pointing at him for the Secret Service, who were looking at us from the top of the barn. They were looking at us the whole time when we were standing by that tree.
Now, of course, after the shooting, those same Secret Service snipers were the ones that actually killed the shooter. But it's hard to imagine that if one of those rally goers had been listened to, potentially none of the shots had actually been fired and a life might have been saved. Here's another video captured at the scene. You can hear some of the live attempts to flag down police happening.
Yeah, look, there he is.
Because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. Dangerous people, criminals. We have criminals. We have drug dealers. We have people that should not be here. It's much tougher than it happens.
Now, not long after that, a cop did eventually travel up onto the roof and encountered the shooter, but the shooter pointed his weapon at him. And at that point, the officer retreated, and that apparently spurred the shooter to begin trying to take down the president there.
Thanks for watching. Our audience has helped build TYT into the media giant it is today. Together, we can accomplish anything. Support our work and join us at tyt.com/team.
And look, obviously, we're gonna get to criticism of the Secret Service. There's also a lot of criticism of the police officer, but bear in mind, he had crawled up a ladder and he had an AR-15 being pointed at him. And you can perhaps understand why the officer at short range is gonna be incredibly scared when you have a weapon of war that no civilian should be wielding and was able to shoot as many people as he did at this event, thanks to the fact that he had a weapon as capable as that, was threatening the cop with. And then he rushes forward, fires wildly, nicks the president, and kills someone.
Yeah. So look, I said on the day of that I thought Trump acted courageous, and we'll get back to that. I do want to talk about the Secret Service for a second first, but I also want to get back to how it was about an inch away, and if Trump hadn't been showing slides, he'd be dead right now. So we'll get back to that as well. But first on the Secret Service. So I get it. Obviously, there's a major screw up here because apparently there's not that many buildings. It's in the middle of a field, and so they should have checked the roofs, but they probably did. In fact, not probably, almost certainly, because the guy crawled up afterwards, right? So he wasn't there for hours. He wasn't there overnight. They saw him crawling up while the rally was going on. So no one can deny that there was some sort of error here. And should the cops have gotten there a little bit quicker? Sure, of course, everybody agrees, right? But that being said, I think that the attacks on the Secret Service and that cop are enormously unfair. So first, on the Secret Service, is everyone in MAGA sending them a thank you note for putting their lives on the line for Trump? Because they did. And while the bullets were being fired, Secret Service rushed out there and surrounded Trump. So they were willing to take a bullet for him and die for him.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a small thing.
No, not at all.
And so we'll get to some of the outrageous criticism of the Secret Service in a little bit. And so keep that in mind. And then in terms of the cop, well, don't we always say, especially here on the Young Turks, don't shoot immediately. See what's happening first. And then if there's a danger, shoot, right? Mm-hmm. So the cop gets to the roof and sees the rifle. Okay, like I wouldn't want him going up to the roof and without even seeing the guy start shooting. What if it was a guy who was running the convenience store and went up there to fix a roof or something, right? You can't just shoot before you see.
Doing security that has been misidentified.
For Secret Service, that's right, that was doing security. Exactly, you can't just shoot, right? And when he sees the rifle, yeah, he can't, he's climbing up. He can't go grab his gun, etc. So he ducks. I'm not gonna blame the guy for that. I mean, that's his life right there, right? So it's so weird now that the right wing hates cops, hates the Secret Service, hates the Justice Department, hates the FBI. Like we live in such a topsy-turvy world, right? And one more thing before we go back to the attacks on the Secret Service and all these other parts of the story. Look, he's showing a chart like this. And if he's not, his head's in this position towards the crowd. If his head's in that position, he's a dead man. So the fact that he was showing the chart is why the bullet missed him and grazed him in the ear. And we know that because in the beginning it looked like such a superficial wound. At first I thought, is this a BB gun? Is this some sort of weirdo like prank that is the worst idea in the world? Or then later TMZ was reporting, and I actually tweeted about this too, which I then retracted, that the bullet had hit the teleprompter, the glass had shattered, and it had cut Trump's ear, the glass. I'm like, okay, that makes sense because it's such a superficial wound. But it turns out, no, he got super lucky that he barely missed him. Unbelievably lucky. A New York Times captured one of the bullets whizzing by. There's a picture of it, right? Of the bullet in the air. So that ends all conspiracy theories, right? So all the people were like, oh, it was staged, it was this, it was that. No, it wasn't.
Because it didn't. And all the conspiracy theories.
Well, you can have those all day long, but you have to base it on like, anyway, that stuff drives me crazy. Whether you're blue MAGA or red MAGA, it doesn't matter. You have to base things on evidence. There's no question that 5 bullets were fired. And what was the guy aiming to graze his ear?
Yeah, no, that's
come on, that's insanity.
First of all, nobody's that accurate from hundreds of feet away. And Donald Trump literally have never signed up for that. I mean,
never. Donald, that's exactly what I said.
1,000 years.
Yeah.
So I agree, and we will certainly talk more about the criticism of, there's fair criticism, and then there's other criticism that I think is a little bit opportunistic. And sometimes, even in stories that might seem to be something a political movement would like to talk about, there's parts of it that they'd like to distract from. And so I think there's a little bit of opportunistic criticism that we will definitely get into. Look, obviously this is a massive political story. These sorts of things happen very rarely. That said, there are aspects of this that have definitely bothered me. Like I understand in terms of political import why you focus on the target of the shooting. But there were so many updates about wondering what condition he was in. He was grazed in the ear. He's gonna be fine. A person died, and other people are having multiple operations done because they're critically injured. And all the podcasts are leading with like, we're gonna find out what his condition is. It feels so dismissive. And I understand we're gonna have maybe a disagreement about the branding of it, and I definitely get that it's savvy branding. But like, considering two other things that are happening right then, I think wasting the word courageous on him makes no sense. The Secret Service was courageous. That cop, even though he retreated, was courageous to go up at all and wanted to take him down. And especially the guy who died, heard shots fired, threw himself over his family. He didn't just survive a shooting, wait until the shooter was dead and then stand up, again, this is not to criticize Donald Trump. It's a horrendous event. It's not courageous to stand up when there's no threat to you. The guy who shielded his family and lost his life as a result of it, he deserves the courageous. The Secret Service deserves the courageous. They did a conscious thing that risked their life. And thus far, for better or worse, whatever else you might say about him, Donald Trump has literally never done that, including on that day.
Yeah, I totally disagree.
You disagree specifically about the word courage, has a definition.
Yeah, I 100%.
Bravery has a definition.
Yeah, of course it does, and he met it. So
I could not disagree more.
Jules to you is one of our members, largely agrees with you as in one element.
I'm
gonna read that.
already.
Okay, they said bullets are flying, but he stops to mug for the cameras. Christ, a narcissist to the end.
Well, I disagree with that because again, my point is the bullets have not been firing for over a minute. He's brought down to the ground. He's still in danger. The shooter's killed. He's told the shooter's killed. They collect themselves. He stands up. He throws his fist in the air. There's no danger at that point.
Yeah, that's the part I disagree with you on. Look, the brother just got shot. Okay,
no, it's impressive. Okay. I'm not doubting that it's a good image or that it's savvy or that it's quick thinking. It's just not brave.
No, John,
you have to overcome.
No, John, in that moment when you've been shot, you're positive that 25 seconds later that the threat is gone?
The Secret Service told him.
Yeah.
He wasn't shot in the
okay. I wouldn't be positive. I don't think most politicians would have done that. I think that him, not only did he put his arm up, but his head was poking out, right? And he's screaming, fight, 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 right? And I think 9 out of 10 people do not do that. Look, John, you know me. I've called Trump a coward 1,000 times, right? And remember that one time there was like, they thought that there was an attempt, like he heard a loud noise or something, and he was like, oh, right. And then there was a time in his office when the eagle actually opens its wings, and he's like, right. So and plus, I've seen him run from 1,000 things, right?
Sure.
So I'm shocked that he was courageous, but I think he definitely was.
I disagree. Again, just like we're going to get to the Secret Service later, but as people who risked their life consciously are being smeared.
Yeah, I mean, that's
thrown around.
But those are two different things. Smearing the Secret Service is gratuitous, stupid. It's a very right-wing thing to do for no reason. The president's alive, and the Secret Service protected, okay, and they covered it, right? But that being said, do you think Joe Biden gets up and goes, fight, fight, fight? No way. From the shock, he's already dead. Sorry, but I mean,
no, I don't.
Come on,
I don't disagree with you.
Like Joe Biden was still on the ground.
If Joe Biden had done it, it wouldn't be brave. It would be surprising, but it wouldn't be brave as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, seriously, if that's my candidate, I couldn't be happier. I think that's perfect.
I don't disagree with that at all. I just disagree with some of the specific words being thrown around.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.